Hey everyone, this is Tracy with Color Me This. Today is a special video, unplanned, episode 106, and it is specifically to talk about the Brutfuner 520s and my experience in swatching them and what I found. So today is the restart of Daily Color. I am going to be coloring flowers, 35 of them, in the Joanna Basford's Small Victories. So in preparation for that, here is the page I will be coloring over here today. And in preparation for that, I needed to get my pencils put in the giant case that I have. So I'm going to start at the beginning and just give you guys some tidbits and discoveries that I made. First off, this is the chart that I decided was going to be my color family order. I already talked about that in my planning session. So this is the post-planning. I've actually succeeded and finished. The sort order, I found a nice swatch chart by Bruno's Art Gallery. I will find the link and it will be in the description. So that particular swatch sheet was, the rectangles were very small. I don't even know where I have my chart that I showed you where I figured out how to, here we go. So the size of the swatch squares are quite small and the wording is small, but I liked the order, and when Bruno did this, they matched this color family chart. So I went ahead and went into Word, blew these up, and made my own swatch layout that fits my standard swatch sheet out because it's so long. So it is basically it starts as a 4.25 by 11-inch sheet, and then I trim off a little bit of the edges when I'm done swatching. So there are 10 of those swatches. In this swatch chart, you will notice down toward the bottom that we get some inconsistent numbers and some holes, like specifically between 352 and 355 is a hole of 353 and 354. 353 and 354 do exist here at the bottom, and they are not neon or metallics. I think I said that might be the case. Confirmed, that is not what those are. Over here we have 384, and then it jumps to 389. And then the four numbers missing is 385, 6, 7, and 8. Which is interesting. I never actually found them in here. However, they do exist, and I will share them with you because I could not find them. Then we have another small gap, 454, 455 right here, and they don't show a 456. So those, in total, those were the gaps that I found in this chart. But I decided I wasn't going to stress about them missing because I saw those numbers and the names in Bruno's Art Gallery's chart. So I did use this as a guide as I was going, just to kind of make sure I was staying on track, but I never had any issues in these four areas that you see. I did end up with 24 metallics and 12 pastels. I also ended up with the 2 whites. So from here, I'm going to, before I share my swatch charts and the one problem last night, it took me, I started this Friday, late afternoon. I wanted to have Friday free to spend time with my husband on our anniversary, but it ended up that Friday was too late for me to start. So on Saturday, I was maybe halfway through, maybe a little further than halfway through. So Hub was very kind. We were going to stay around. Because of my bad back, I can't just swatch hour after hour. I did make myself, I only swatched in 2 places. I swatched in the recliner and I swatched in bed one night. In fact, Friday night. The night I got started, I felt like I was a little late and I knew it was going to be pretty daunting. So I went ahead and laid in bed and just pushed through. I think I swatched until 1:30 to 2 o'clock in the morning, which isn't normal for me to stay up that late, but I knew that this was my main goal for the weekend and we didn't have any other plans. So Saturday was a long day. We played disc golf, so I would get up and go out to the garage. We have a disc basket, and I would putt. I went on a bike ride, and I'm saying all this because I think it's really important when you color. It's not good to just color constantly. You really need to get up and be active. So Saturday I biked, and then I think that's all I did was bike and putt. We didn't go anywhere. And when I say bike, we think we biked maybe 5.5 to 6 miles. That's pretty standard. We have a big community to bike through with lots of trails, so we were mostly on trails. And then in between the trails, we are on asphalt. And then if we go the full circuit, we can get 8.5 miles, I think, if we went on everything. But I think it was more like a 5 to 6 mile trek. So the exciting thing was that my bike, it's my second bike. The first bike it was a small bike. And I turned over 1,000 miles on my bike. And I got that bike in September. Okay, so back to the task at hand, swatching. So by Sunday evening last night, I was done at about 9:30. And because Hub did let me, we worked on a couple of projects in the garden, we biked, and then we have a rockery out front, and some wonderful person found these giant birds of paradise, which I will include the picture at the end, because birds of paradise here in Florida are quite expensive. And like a 7-gallon, even on the marketplace, Facebook Marketplace, a 7-gallon of the full size orange, red to purple birds of paradise will be like $30 to $45. So we got these 2 enormous pots that probably were in a home here. They were probably not watered. They looked kind of wilty. So we have them back here in the backside, which is mostly shady. And I've watered them every day because we're getting ready. They're all root bound in these giant pots. So I worked on the front rockery where they're going to go. We're going to pull out a shrub today, actually. And so that kept me busy in the midst of riding the bike and putting. So we did that pretty much. That was my routine all weekend while I swatched. Years ago when I attended retreats where it's a crafting retreat, I had to set my watch every hour. And a couple of times at this particular retreat house, I brought my basket, and I would get my friends to come out with me, crafty people, and teach them how to putt so that we could stay busy. And then alternating between putting, I would go for walks. So I've always maintained a vigilance in getting up and moving every hour. Okay, so that's probably why it took a little bit longer than normal, because there were some long gaps each day. So this is my swatch packet. Here's how thick it is right now today. I did just before this actually take my 4 sheets of the Castle Arts Golds and put them in. So they are now nestled in here nicely. I removed one set, which was a duplicate. Here, I'll show you my Brutfuner 120 squares, which are the budget set that I've owned the longest. I originally had swatched them on my craft cardstock, which is Nina 65 solar cover copy, super smooth. So they're like super smooth. And it isn't a true representation of the color. I have since re-swatched these and have them here on the oh, and then I also didn't do them. Look, I didn't do them in the right order. Sort order. It goes from red, orange to yellow. So I have pulled this because I don't really need it. It's going to go in my swatch book. My Bruno Art Gallery little sheet. I just want to keep it for memorabilia's sake. That will go in my swatch book. And what I have today to put in the book, and I'm going to share, let's see if I can get it in. So I have 10 of these. So here's the 10th one. 10 swatch sheets to put in. And I have cut all of them but one. Their color family order is, again, if I get my cheat sheet here, it starts with yellow, but it goes into a weird order. And because, look, I'm not very good at keeping them in order. So we got, that's sheet 4, Sheet 3 is the browns. Then we go to greens. Yep. Sheet 4. That's 6. This must be 5. 5, 6, 9, and 10. Because late last night, I'm going through. My book is full. And I'll show you the book and what it looks like in a moment. But here we were, my very last set to do, the trays. I was inconsistent in how I pulled the pencils. So at first I was walking through this chart, and I told you I referred to it. So I was walking through, and at some point it became kind of irrelevant, and I would mostly grab a tray by the color, you know, like, now I'm going to do all the blues. So I would pull out both the odds and evens of the blues, and then I was going to do the reds. So the very last color for me to swatch was the purples. In fact, I asked Hub, should I do reds next or purples? And he says, what's your favorite color? It's purple, isn't it? Save that for last. And you know, that was actually a good idea, because at this point, remember, I've been swatching for 2.5 days. So here's the purple page. And at the very end, here's this one, Berry Conserve, or Berry Conserve. I'm not really sure. And I looked everywhere for that darn pencil. So then I got tired enough that I went, I counted the neons, I counted the metallics. This color wasn't in there. Because I didn't have a tray number, it means I didn't touch it. So that was how I knew that it somehow didn't even make from the tray to my hand. I didn't put the tray number, so I never saw it. So last night, being tired as I was, I went and I put all of the trays away. And so this morning, I'm laying in bed and I could not sleep. I'm like, I have to get up. I have to get to work on this, cut these up. I want to do a quick what I found during swatching video. And then my pencil cases, the flower boxes, were up above my storage cabinets, and I looked at them and went, okay, I will get them out. I can tell by this number it's odd, so I opened up the odd box, which I can't even remember which is the odd or the even, but here, the odd box is the green. So here are my trays. I went through the trays. I'm going to go sideways so that I don't have to pull the camera up. Tray 1. I was looking for the tray that had number 385. There should be a gap, because every single tray I numbered every position, and look what I found. I had to laugh when here it is, the very last pencil, number 520, Berry Conserve. And no, I hadn't written the number because I didn't even take it out of the tray. So I had a good laugh. And then I am now going to grab my pencils. So one of the things I discovered I used the gold, silver, and white Dollar Tree metallic markers. They are super smooth. If you ever want to label your trays for any reason and you need a cheap, nice metallic pen that will not only write on your trays, but it will also write nicely on your pencils, these are great. They're kind of fat. So here's where I started using my silver Sharpie, and see how much thinner the nib is, but that wore out. And so then I dug through my husband's stash of his Sharpies out in the garage, and that one was he just smashed it. So I had to switch to using all 3 of my markers. I have a silver, white, gold, 4 of them, and then the blue. You're going to see some of the pencils have blue on them. So I didn't like that. For cleanliness sake, it bothered me that my pencils are not labeled with the same color. As I already told you, I didn't like the black mixed with silver. So at least all of these are metallic. But I had to just forego my pickiness and my OCD and just let there be mixed colors, because I didn't feel like running out to Walmart to buy the silver pens. Hub didn't offer to go to Walmart to buy me the silver Sharpies. We have since ordered them on Amazon. So Next colors, but here I am, my very last pencil number 520. You guys are going to see me swatch it. And then I'm going to talk about what I thought of these pencils and my interesting findings. I kind of kept a little bit of a log. We will go through this swatch together. I am going to, since you know you've seen this, I'm going to pause so that I can cut this down and get it the disc bound on all of these, and then I'll be right back and we will continue walking through my swatching experience of the Brutfuner 520s. All right, I have got these ready to go, and I will, yep, we're missing a few colors, so I'm going to raise this up. Okay, so looking at the first 3 sheets, I was not very consistent, by the way, when I did page to page. This magnification is a little different, and see how much further down. So I got better from page to page of printing these in Word, and I wish I would have more consistently actually made it smaller because I want to write on the bottom. But like I said, I will know what these are just because they look different than all my other swatches. So when I was going through here, I did stop putting the P and the G like I mentioned. This is my first page, so it has P's and G's. I found some inconsistencies. My pencil had banana, it didn't have banana cream, and it wasn't golden yellow, it was golden glow. So I fixed inconsistencies in the names, but you'll see there overall there wasn't a lot of inconsistencies with the names. We will go through and look at the pencils as they are in the case, because that's just the wonderful thing. But as each of these pages filled up, the colorist in me was very satisfied by seeing like all of the yellows, and then a lot of sets only have like 2 oranges. Look at all of these oranges. I liked that the orange tone went into topaz, which is almost like a tan. Look at all these lovely soft peaches. There's actually like 12 peaches, all different shades. Then we have going into like the yellowy tans to the brown. So I liked this sort order. The way it flowed was nice. And then all of the different colors. The maple sugar, because it's very pink, I was concerned because toward the end, that one stayed uncolored for a very long time, till like Sunday afternoon. So I was a little concerned about that particular color. Then we go down into these very lovely dark, all the way to licorice, which they count as a brown, not a black. And then we have some dark burgundy mauves. Going then, starting in the greens. Green flash, yes, that is a green. It is awfully pale, but it is green. And I double checked to make sure that that was really colored in the way it needed to be. There's no way for me to show you all of these at once, so we'll get out the next 3 and see what we find, because I want to make sure you can see it. So then on these next pages, I actually, oh, you still on this one can't really quite see them all. So at the top here, these 2 pages, I was way too far up on the page, so I wish I would have been more picky at the time, and I wasn't, so that's all right. Then we have hardly any problems here through the greens. Everything flowed, everything looked great. I am looking for, I've got some stats that I pulled. This hedge green looks like it may have had at the very beginning. Now, I do not sharpen my pencils, and I will tell you, only one pencil had a problem with its tip, and I will explain that in a second when I hit that topic. So I did not sharpen these. I have never found a problem with wax consistently at all on any of my pencil sets. I have never had them not work right. I've only had, like, maybe on the inexpensive pencils, a piece of gravel in the pigment that I've had to deal with, or the very end of it might have something on it, but not where they've sharpened it. So I'll get into that when I go through the end stats. After I look at the colors, we have some nice aquas here in the greens. We have, again, Dew-Kissed, lovely, soft green. Love how everything goes light to dark. Mayfly is a lovely brown, but it's got a hint of green in it. Kombu green is a lovely deep green. All the way to Mountain View. So some of the names are really clever. And I picked 3 favorite names just for giggles. I will share them with you. Lovely light blues all the way. Now, this is the lightest blue, I believe, blue topaz. I would not have minded 1 shade lighter. Over here we do have, in the teals, we have angel blue, which is really, to me, like the same color, just a slightly different tone. So again, I would have loved to have that go even lighter. It's probably one of the only color families that I did not feel went light enough. So if you guys own these, what are your thoughts on that with the blues? Love the cornflower blue here. And then these deep blues, Soda Light blue. Soda Light is a stone, and I can tell you that that is exactly what that stone looks like. So it's fun to see some natural elements mentioned. Love all these bright blues. Look at, they're almost the same. I can't even tell the difference. Oh, Turkish blue is Turkish Sea on my pencil. So these 4 blues are actually, if I narrow it down, Classic, Victoria, and Snorkel Blue. All 3 of those look identical to me. Lapis Blue and Dazzling Blue look the same. So you're going to have that with this so many pencils. They will definitely, I'll just go to, if I use one up, which I have yet to do, and if I'm rotating through all of my sets, it'll be a very long time before I start using up my pencils. Okay, love all these very darks. I see between these all very slight variations in the tone. And then we've got the teals. A whole full range of teals. Love them all. Turkish Tile, I love that name. Mykonos Blue, Lions, I don't know what this is. Lions Bluss. Is that a typo? I don't know, because that doesn't look like a word to me. And then this Salute is a really beautiful, beautiful deep blue. A little bit purple. Kind of even looks out of place here. So being picky, I probably, if ever doing this, this would be moved over here like below the Twilight Purple. But I'm not going to knock it because I didn't have to spend the time to move them. Morning Mist, another one. That is its color, very, very light. We have some nice pastels going into the pinks. See, I haven't even hit the couple of them that had actual problems. So we have 4 sheets left. So I'm going to stand up. I personally made a mistake or 2. I see one of my mistakes coming up here. So Rouge Red. I don't know what I was thinking. I think that is green that I had to erase as best I can. And so I did, like, I colored it in, but clearly it's turning to mud. So I recolored it up high here. So that's one of my few mistakes while swatching. It might be my only... Nope, I did more, but most of my mistakes, if I did make them, which there was only a couple, were within the color family, so it was easy to erase and color over. Okay, neat colors. Cranberry, now Tandoori Spice. This one looks to me like it may have had something on it. One of the few that had something that I had to, like, look at the tip, and I'm going to keep looking. I might pause and go find. There was one that was very obviously a mix of 2 colors. And I had to color off to the side to remove the second color. So it got contaminated with an extra color somewhere. Love how dark these reds go. Up here, Tomato, Barbary, and Persian Red are awfully close. To my eye, I see a slight difference. Geranium and Tea Berry look the same. And then these 4 look awfully close. Slight difference, but just very slight. Same with Lipstick Red and Garnet. Going into the darker peaches, the peachy reds. Here's one of my favorite, one of them that I wrote down. I'm a web person. I got a computer science degree. And so that's what my career was I did websites. I was on the technical side. So orange.com, that really rang a bell and was one of my favorites. Then we have all these pale lilacs with these different tones, which is lovely to see. The names like Peach Skin, Pink Nectar, somewhat relevant, Sweet Lilac, Pale Lilac. It's nice to see them trying to match the names to the colors, except in like orange.com, you know. Although it is orange. So then we go to the purples, which I saved for last, like I said, and then we just go, look at all these. So close, but slight different tints. I find that the tones the color families that have not got all of the tones covered tend to be green and purple. And so this set definitely covers all of the color ranges within a color family. So anemone, I like that as a purple, kind of a weird placement for it. I probably would have put it over here somewhere maybe. And then we have down to our berry conserve. This was the very last pencil that I did. I'm going to put a little circle there for significance. Maybe I'll never remember. We've got some other purples moving into the grayish purples over here. I didn't always have room for the rectangle to show because I laid out these rectangles over the top. So some of these words are cut off here and there. If it, like purple coralites is, I don't want to think it's purple coral and look for purple coral. So I did spell out the word, and you might not be able to see it because I think that this was off the page. More purples, like every purple, like I said, all of the purple ranges are all covered. And then we hit the blacks, and we have all sorts of tones of black. I love Mysterioso, by the way. That's a great name. Blue Ribbon is a great name, though for me, a blue ribbon, that's too dark. Blue Ribbon would be over on the blues, not down here in the purples. That, I believe, is Jet Set. I might have to rewrite that so I'll know what I'm looking for. Blue Wash is interesting because that looks green to me. So that was one of the few names, very few names, did not match up with their color in my eye. So Blue Wash does not match to me. That is green. And then we've got some nice tans going into grays. And then this one says bit of blue. And again, I don't know why they keep using the word blue in their name because that looks green to me. All right, here we go. The one and only Brittany Blue is the only one that actually was contaminated. And in here, it was mixed blue and black. Even though I cleaned it, I could not get it clean. So that one I'm going to have to watch. If I ever go to use it, I'll have to test it first. So that's why I put the little mark and made a note. Let's see. So far, I haven't seemed to hit... there are 3 pencils on here that I thought I would see that I labeled with a little letter C, and the C meant it left crumbs, a significant amount of crumbs. So there were only 3 pencils that left crumbs, and I just finished the Castle Arts Gold, and pretty much half of the colors were crumbly, they left a lot of dust. And so I only had 3 pencils out of 520 that left enough crumbs, significant amount, that made me put a little note about it. Okay, the last page here is a whole array of like grayish tones. And I love the chive. So then we have my little dashed lines here were for metallic. And I'm going to grab a pencil because I see that since my dashed line starts here, I should put an M for these first 3. I think I originally thought that the metallic started here, but then I had to adjust it. That's a typo, but that typo is on the pencil itself, so it stays. The metallics are typically, when I've used them, they feel very soft, and these do feel soft. They are somewhat shimmery, but like most metallic pencils, they're not really an impressive shimmery. And these also are a waxy surface. They burnish like almost instantly on one layer. So then from this line, eggplant down, these are all the neons, and they're okay. I just will never ever use them. I thought argan oil was an odd one to be considered in the neons. It actually isn't. It's a K. And so I don't know what the K is. I feel like that's the browns. If I go back to the browns, I still haven't figured out the secret to all of these codes. In the browns, I see YK. So now that I'm done with the bulk and all the swatching is done, I will probably go through and try to do some analysis on the codes. So most of the neons all have the code L, like I said, except we have an AL, a G, and a K. Who knows what those are for? Maybe G for green. AL is metallic, which is over here. All of these are ALs. So oh, and I fixed it. So I did discover that that is a metallic, that pinky one. And some of them, they're more pearly, I guess, than pink. Okay, so that's the end of the swatches. And now I have to raise up my thing all the way. I tried to keep track of the numbers. I told you at the very beginning that I was going to be numbering the top left and right of each row, where the first row is 1 to 24 and the second row is 25 to 48 in those increments. And as I got deeper in, I started to have problems with my numbers as I was filling in the pencils. So I kind of gave up on that. And one of my last things to do is to go through and rewrite the numbers correctly. So you'll see that I have not fixed my blacks that were offensive to me that first day. But down here, if I can move up that far, you'll see where I've gotten a few blues. These are the blue version of the Crafter's Square metallic markers. So I opted to, for me, the blue is less offensive than this 29 black, but of course, this is being ultra picky. But for the most part, the pencils all look great to me. Here's one that's in white, where I just had that white marker handy. And so some of the pencils, see how that scratches off? Some of the pencils, when they're really glossy, most of the, like this right here, Autumn Glory, is super glossy. So I'm a couple of the glossy ones where I wrote in this black, it's more of a chalk marker. I mean black, I wrote in white. I'm probably going to scratch that off and redo it because it will eventually come off in time. And then with the glossy pencils, this rustic brown is another glossy. You can just run your hand across them, and most of them are a matte finish. The other thing that happened is this is one of the few that the number, it's hard to read. And then a couple of them, the imprint of that little tiny number from 1 to 520 was so deep it chopped off as I was trying to color over that number to raise the numbers up. So these are nice and easily visible. We'll hit one where the wood, it just punched the wood out. It was so deep. So all of these are looking good. I love seeing them all in their lovely, colorful goodness. And then I'm not having problems yet. My numbers are still consistent, but we're entering the trouble zone where I got far in the day. So when I started to have problems with my numbers, I chose to start in the back of the book. And so I got to about this page and realized I did not want to get to the end of the book and be off by a couple. So instead, I knew which numbers I was going to go. This is a book that said on Temu it was a 500, but there are two versions of this book. There's the 3-hole, the big strap, so you can do markers. And then this single holes. The single hole one is only 480, and I only had 34 total pencils that went in my case. This was the case that I picked. One side metallics, the other side neons. They all fit in here lovely and perfect, and so that's where they will stay. The only oddball out, if I can still find it, because now I've buried things on my desk, is Tofu number 516. We're going to talk about that as we hit the end of everything. So anyhow, the numbering is not too bad. Like, here's a gold. When I hit the silver Sharpies, I learned something. Sharpies are supposed to be stored face down. I store them horizontal. So I started with the one good silver Sharpie. I started storing it face down, and every time I would give it a half an hour break, I could then write on it, but then they would get, like, this 209 is really faint looking. So I tried where I could to use the silver Sharpie every time. I would let it rest for half an hour. And then, of course, in the morning, both mornings, I would get up, it would work really good. So that is why you are seeing silver throughout that looks pretty good, mixed with some faint silver writing. That's when my Sharpie was fading, and I would just switch to one of my other metallic markers from the Dollar Tree. So moving on, we have these two oddball light greens are indeed, that's the order they were supposed to be in. It looks odd, but again, I'm probably going to stick with this order. I do not think it will be worth my time to reorder from here. I just want to start using these guys. Red Plum is kind of in a funny spot. Still a lot of silvers. Because my silver pen worked, I tried to use it as much as possible. Here we go. The momentous occasion. My missing color, 385. I am pulling out Brilliant White. So sad I won't have any room for the white. And I am putting in my missing number. Okay, and you'll see where my numbers are off. This says 387. This is 385. So I am going to rewrite on the corners the correct numbers now that all of the pencils are in, but I will do that on my own time. Again, 3 pencils that had crumbs, 1 pencil that was decidedly mixed, 1 that was scratchy that had a little ball of white hard something. I picked it off and off I went. These 2 whites, I have not decided where they can live. I would love for them to live here, but I am fearful that being on the outside, that would be bad. I don't know if there's a way that I can just, can I just throw those 2 whites, one in the front and one in the back? If anybody has an opinion on whether I could safely leave the whites, both of them, in this book, just in the middle here, let me know. I will be putting, this is the 5-zip version. I have a bigger, sturdier carabiner, but I don't even need to do a label, because this, I will probably not ever have another pencil case this enormous. And where it will live, I have now underneath my desk, which is quite a ways away from the window. I now have 1, 2, 3, 4 fatties, 250s. These are my 4 original 250s that I used to keep the professional sets in. And so those are underneath here. And then this big green, I'm going to zip it up, and it is going to live and probably stand up against one of the legs. Right now what's sitting there are my professional pencil swatches in a binder. So this will go to the right of that. And that is where it will live. Whew. So now I want to do one last thing. I am going to set this over out of the way. And keep in mind, I get to pull pencils and use these today. That is what's so exciting. I'm going to drop this down all the way. And then I am going to add both of these pencils. I have to start a new row here. One is Brilliant White, so let's just see how, I haven't even used these whites because there's just no real sense in using them. Some of the pencils are silkier, creamier than others. The pencils that have more pigment in them, like the dark colors, the dark greens, and the dark blues, they're scratchier. So this is Brutfuner 520. That is the worst B ever. And I'm going to put BW because this is Brilliant White. And then the next one, this is decidedly not as bright as Brilliant White, is B520. Again, kind of hard to read. Tofu. There you go. Let's see if I can get that to focus. There we go. So still, I can't believe the Castle Arts Gold. That still surprises me. The Brilliant White is quite white. It's equal to these three, but definitely not. None of them are as white as the Castle Arts Gold. I actually might be pulling out all my whites someday and just redo Battle of the Whites. I know that that's already been done and I could just look up, but they're not the same sets as I have. So that is all I have for an update on my Brutfuner swatching. I will be processing this and get it loaded before I get the next daily color loaded so that you guys can watch this. And then in the next episode, you will see me coloring with these bad boys. So do all the YouTube things, like, share, comment, and consider subscribing. And I'll see you at the Daily Color.